In this video, I'll be going over the Garmin speed and cadence sensor. I'll do a quick unboxing, I'll show how you set them up, and then I'll test it for the application that I'm using it for, which is mountain biking. Since the speed sensor and the cadence sensor are ANT+ and Bluetooth, you can pair them not only to a Garmin watch or a Garmin cycling computer, but you can also pair them to your phone or iPad in case you want to use them for indoor cycling apps like Zwift. But I'll be using these for mountain biking, and I'm really excited about the speed sensor because I live in an area where our trails are really tight and twisty, and there's a lot of tree cover, especially in the summertime. So I know there are instances where the GPS is just not as accurate as I'd like it to be, and I really think that I'm losing some mileage when I record my rides. So to see if that's really true, I'm going to be using a course that I use a lot during the week on my lunchtime mountain bike rides, which are right behind my office. So this is the ride that I do, and I did it last week, and the ride was 11.55 miles, and my moving time was 1 hour and 2 minutes. So what I'm going to do next week is I'm going to go back out and do the exact same course every single turn. Everything's going to be just like I did on the day when I recorded this ride, and I'm going to see if I get some extra mileage by using the speed sensor as opposed to only using GPS. So we'll take a real quick look at what you get in the box. So there's the speed sensor, and there is the cadence sensor. And by the way, you can buy these individually, so you can get just the speed sensor if you don't care about getting cadence, and you can also buy the cadence sensor. And these are the bands that you would use for the cadence sensor. And then of course you get a little instruction manual. I'm going to go ahead and pair this to my Garmin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate this thing around, because what you're supposed to do is put it on a wheel and then it comes on, wakes up. I saw a green light come on, so we'll see if this works. So on my Garmin Edge 830, I'll just swipe down, I'll go to settings, I'll go to sensors, I'll go to add sensor, and I'll go to search all. Let's see if we found something here. Yep, there's the speed sensor, so I'll just check next to speed, and the cadence sensor shows up too, since I got it out of the box and moved it around, so that woke it up. I click on add. Since I've never had a cadence sensor or a power meter on my mountain bike, I've never had the need for the data field on my screen. So on my Edge 830, I'm going to add a field real quick by going to settings, and then I'll go to activity profiles. I'll use this one called mountain, and then I'll go to data screens, and then I'm going to go to screen 1, which is the main one. Right now I have 5 fields, and I'm going to add one, so I'll make it 6 fields. I'm going to do the 6B, and then I'll just arrange these. So speed, I really don't monitor my speed that much when I'm mountain biking. So instead of having speed, I'm going to select the cadence field. And then I won't show it in the video, but I'm going to rearrange these a little bit. This is what I ended up with. I put cadence up at the top and distance, heart rate in the middle, my timer. I did a grade percentage and then the time of day. Now on my Edge 830, I need to let it know my wheel size so that the speed sensor is accurate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swipe down, go to settings, I'll go to sensors, I'll tap on the speed sensor, and then I'll go to sensor details, I'll tap on wheel size. Now you can do an automatic where you go out for a ride, it'll track you by GPS, and then it will calibrate the speed sensor, put the wheel size in, but I'm going to do manual because I went out and I measured my wheel size. And I'm going to show how to do that when I put this on the bike. It's really easy. So I measured it to be 229 centimeters or 2,290 millimeters. So since this is in millimeters, I've got to do 2290. That's my wheel size. So that'll be pretty accurate. There are times when I use my Vivo Active 4 for tracking my mountain bike ride. So I'm going to pair the speed sensor to this. And if you are curious on how to do that, you just hold down the button, go to settings, tap on sensors, add new, speed and cadence. It's searching for the sensor. There is my speed sensor. I'll tap on the speed and it's paired. In case you're using the speed sensor with a watch, like I do sometimes, I'll show you how to set the wheel size. So I'm going to hold the button down. I'll go to settings. I'll go to sensors. I'll tap on the speed sensor that's connected right now. I'll go to wheel size. And I'm going to go to manual, just like I did on the 830, to 290. And that's how I put the wheel size in the Vivo Active 4 or any Garmin watch for that matter. Before I put the sensors on the bike, I want to show you real quick how I measured the exact wheel size. So what I do is I put the valve stem straight up and down, and then I pick an exact spot on the tire. In this case, I'm picking the back of the knob right below the M of the Maxxis logo. And then I just push the bike forward, keeping the wheel right next to the tape measure the whole time. And then I watch for the valve stem to go at the same place, so straight up and down. And then I look again at the spot that I had measured before, and that will give me my reading. I'll put the speed sensor on first, and I'm putting it on the front wheel. It doesn't really matter if you're riding the bike outdoors. Now, obviously, if you're doing this for an indoor training app, you need to put it on the rear wheel. So I'm just going to strap that on. And that's so easy to do that you can swap this between bikes if you want to. So that's super easy. Now let's do the cadence sensor. For this crankset, I'm having to use the widest band here. And you want to put it on the back side of the crank arm. And that's so that your heel does not make contact with it while you pedal. And you probably want to put it on the left crank arm to keep it away from the drivetrain. All right, so it's installed. That was not quite as easy as the wheel sensor. It may even be helpful to have someone hold it in place while you put the band on, but it took about 30 to 45 seconds. So that's it. All right, I'll pick this video back up after I do my test loop, and we'll see if the speed sensor 2 improved the accuracy of my distance when I ride. All right, I'm back after testing the speed sensor. So I went back out this week and did the exact same course. I mean, start, stop, everything was exactly the same. And so on that ride, the distance was 13.09 miles compared to the 11.55 without the speed sensor. So a little over 1.5 miles or 13.3% longer with the speed sensor. So if you follow me on Strava, go back to all of my mountain bike rides and add 13.3%. And that's my true distance. Now, your results are going to vary, obviously, because my trails are really tight and twisty. And like I said in the beginning of this video, we have a lot of tree cover. So that's going to make a difference in how well the GPS can track you. Now, with the speed sensor, there are different applications. I may test this on my gravel bike, but I don't think I'm going to get near the variation between the actual distance versus the GPS because one, I don't have as much tree cover and the roads are straighter. So, you know, like I said, with the twists and turns of the mountain biking, the GPS just can't track every single inch of your ride. So that's where the speed sensor really comes in. And also, like I said at the beginning of the video, another application of the speed and the cadence sensor for that matter is Zwift. So if you're wanting to use just a regular trainer, because these are Ant Plus and Bluetooth, you can link them to your computer. If you use a computer for Zwift, you can link them to your iPad or your phone if you use that for Zwift. But regardless, you can use these, again, speed and cadence sensor for Zwift if you just want to use a regular trainer. So you don't have a smart trainer, you can use a regular fluid trainer. Now, obviously, you lose the ability for Zwift to interact with the trainer and make it harder to pedal when you're going up a hill and easier when you're drafting or going down a hill. But that's a really good budget option if you already have a trainer or if you just want to find a used one. One thing that I did not mention in the beginning of the video is both the speed and the cadence sensor run off a CR2032 battery, which is what heart rate monitors, power meters, a lot of other things use. So you don't have to charge these things. I don't know how long it's going to last. I know that the CR2032 battery in my Garmin heart rate monitor lasts about 2 years, seriously. The one in my power meter, which is a Stages power meter, that lasts about, I don't know, 2 months on my use. So it's really going to vary. So that'll wrap up this review of sorts of the Garmin speed and the cadence sensor. And by the way, using the cadence sensor was pretty cool. I've never had cadence on my mountain bike. Now, if you have a power meter, that will read cadence on a Garmin or a Wahoo, but it's kind of cool to look down at my cadence. But to me, the thing that I really enjoyed was the speed sensor. I'm kind of surprised it took me this long to get one. If you mountain bike on trails that are real tight and twisty like I do and the tree cover, then you're losing mileage on recording your ride. As always, questions or comments, drop those below. And if you've used these, let us know your feedback on them. Also, let us know how long the battery lasts. Thanks for watching.